This is my passion project. The main idea of this is to complete Breath of the Wild as fast as possible in my limited amount of time. I will work every other day on this project, but every other day won't just be another run through the game. This project also includes all the work behind the video, the script, and the research. So in reality, the centralized idea is the game, but the elements with it will also contribute greatly to the project. I chose this as my passion project because video games are really my largest passion in life. They've been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, and I've been always infatuated with almost any game. They're a critical part of my life, and without them, I'd be a very different person. This will be like a vlog style of recording my progress, so inadvertently, you will be learning a lot about me as a person too. I'm using an emulator, a program that allows me to run games on my computer originally intended for consoles, simply because the gameplay would look like this, and instead of this. I think to understand this concept and see my gameplay easier, it will be most beneficial to use the emulator. There's also another thing I must add before we get to the actual gameplay. I will be completing the game in normal mode, for the sake of my sanity. If I was to try in master mode, I would literally go insane and never complete this project because of this. So for the sake of my sanity and this project, I'll be doing this in normal mode. You may ask yourself, what is a speedrun? And what exactly kind of speedrun will I be doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Or maybe you didn't. I'm from the past. Well, essentially, I'll be doing what's called an any percent speedrun, whereas you complete the game in the lowest amount of game actually played. And in Breath of the Wild, that essentially means I will take a straight shot towards Ganon as fast as possible, which means a couple things. I'll have to get the 4 shrines on the plateau, Magnesis, Bombs, Cryonis, and Stasis. Then I will have to get to Hyrule Castle, gear up, and beat the 4 Blights of Hyrule before being able to face the big bad boss himself, Ganon. And, well, there's 2 phases of him. So what happened with the first run? I missed getting a horse first try, only grabbed 1 piece of phantom armor, which is super useful because it gives lots of defense and more attack power. I died along the way, and inside the castle, and I straight up just didn't have a lot of gear going into the final battle. My second run will be way more refined, as I have researched where the other pieces of phantom armor are, and I've actually started skipping cutscenes now. I finished today's run in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. I had a really excellent boss run on my first save, but I had a really bad one today. As I've said before, I don't just play Breath of the Wild on my project days. I also edit, encode, and just plain not work on the project for the entire day. Sometimes I go for walks, other times I just go play other video games. I did mention that video games are a massive passion of mine, and are quite literally almost the only thing I do when I'm at home during this kind of lockdown situation. Don't worry though, because I take plenty of breaks. Well, I take some breaks. I actually own a VR headset, which is how I take a break by actually doing something kind of exercisey. Basically, there's these blocks and you hit them on the arrows, and they're usually in time with the music. It's really just an excuse to play more video games though. However, it is really fun. Some songs are quite easy, like this one.
You're walking in the woods. There's no one around and your phone is dead. Out of the corner of your eye, you spot him. He's following you, about 30 feet back. He gets down on all 4s and breaks into a sprint. He's gaining on you.
Shia LaBeouf.
And then some take some time to get better to be able to complete. When I've had enough of that, I go for a walk down to the river to get my mind off the screen. I really enjoy just skipping rocks or even venturing to the other side of the river. I've always lived near the river, and I feel very relaxed around it. Letting the sound of the river just be the only thing around me is incredibly soothing. So anyways, I also play a ton of Minecraft, and I do mean a ton. So this program essentially just like checks all my logs in Minecraft and adds them up, and oh boy, that is a lot. So yeah, that's also from only the last 2 years, whereas I've had the game for about 9 years now. I built amazing things, from supermassive pyramids to ginormous holes in the ground. However, this project isn't about showing me wasting my life away on a multitude of video games. I want to highlight the essential points in my second run that could have been done faster. There are many scenarios where I died in the castle, so preferably next time I wouldn't want to do that. I also think I spent at least 10 minutes cooking food just to be able to survive, and then I didn't even eat all of it. I need to figure out a way to stop dying as much in the castle while getting all the gear I need. Another massive time loss is dying in the final boss rush, which I think I did twice, at Thunderblight, right before Ganon, and during the Ganon fight. Other than looking up other speedruns to see what they do, I think those are the only spots I can improve on right now with my abilities. So I've actually done a little research, and my problem with dying in the castle should be solved. I have been using the DLC armor to help me get through this, i.e. the Phantom armor, and I had completely forgotten about another piece of armor that is very useful. It is called Majora's Mask, and essentially what it does is hides me from enemies, so they won't attack first. With this mask, I'll be able to always attack first. However, this mask does not work on guardians, so I still need to be on my toes around the castle. This mask is actually based off another game entirely called, you guessed, Majora's Mask. The mask's role in that game is essentially the final boss, but this time it's on your side and serving a very good use for hiding you against the enemies. So I know this may break the immersion a bit, but today is December 4th and I had committed to trying to working on this project every other day, but there is just a ton of assignments assigned this week, and in order to remain sane, I needed to not do a Breath of the Wild run today, and instead talk about what I do to maintain my sanity during these times. I did say you may be learning more about me during this project. I've already described my walks, however I haven't touched on the fact that I actually spend multiple hours a day in front of my desk either working on school or doing fun things. I personally have gotten used to being in front of a screen all day, as the dark bags under my eyes will tell you. I'm not actually just incredibly tired all the time. I'm pretty sure it's because of my obsessive screen use or genetics. Anyways, I just needed today to work on other more important schoolwork, and if I need to or feel the need to, I will continue to work past my original end date of December 22nd in order to achieve a project I will feel proud of. My most recent run was completed in 2 hours and 5 minutes, much faster than the first time or second time, simply because of Majora's Mask. So, back to the main idea. 2 hours and 5 minutes? How did it even chop off 40 whole minutes? Well, as I said previously, I implemented the idea of Majora's Mask, which was incredibly helpful in terms of navigating the castle with dying being basically non-existent, except for some deaths caused by me just not being very good. Most of my time loss that is causing me to be under 2 hours is issues with the Ganon fight. Shields, be as it may, are incredibly important. They may not be as important as a sword or bow, but it is critical in the final battle against Ganon. Ganon has 2 phases in his battle. Well, I guess 3 if you count his big boy pig battle that is essentially a cutscene, except for the fact that I actually died during it. We won't talk about that. The first one is really simple. You can just attack him and he has no invincibility. However, in the second phase, something called perfect blocks are essentially required in order to actually attack him because of his invulnerable shield that he makes around him, which is similar to the one that Fireblight Ganon has, but in this battle, you could rid the shield by using a bomb when the boss sucks and stuff around. The first time I made it to the second half of the Ganon fight, I was doing something wrong and broke all my shields, so essentially I had to give up and try again from the beginning of the fight, making sure I did not break all my shields. So hopefully in my next run, it will be better, and I will be able to make it through the boss rush first try, which will easily cut off a ton of time. So in the meantime, between now and my last run, I will talk more about cool things that I like because I just need to talk about it because no one knows about it. I actually like tweaking around with things a lot, so naturally I'd get interested in making repairs on phones. I had actually done a repair on a phone a while ago, however it didn't go as well as I hoped because something else was wrong with the phone. Then another opportunity posed itself in my mom's phone. My mom's iPhone is an iPhone 6 Plus. Yes, I know it's pretty old, but my mom likes it and is not willing to spend a lot of money on a new phone. Her main complaints were with the battery life, and I knew it wasn't too difficult to replace the battery. I had ended up finding myself looking at
I've
iPhone
scratched
repairs.
hundreds and hundreds of phones in this exact same way, and Apple's ceramic shield is still scratching at a level 6, with deeper grooves at a level 7.
And I ended up ordering a battery replacement for my mom's phone. A couple days later, it arrives and has all these cool tools and most importantly, the battery. It took me about an hour to do, simply because it was super annoying to line up all the little tiny connectors. Anyways, it was a successful battery replacement, and my mom has been seeing really good battery life in comparison to what it used to be. She used to go to bed with around 100%, but woke up with 20%. But after the battery replacement, she goes to bed with like 100 and then wakes up with like 96. Super easy, only costed me like $30 instead of an exorbitant amount of money for a new phone. And yeah, more importantly, me and Chuck have been playing a lot of Minecraft, so here's some cool stuff from that time. We were killing the Ender Dragon multiple times in order to get all the little teleportation portals spawned, so he doesn't have to worry about not having any. Anyways, back to the juicy stuff. So on the 20th, I did my final run, and it was starting out very hopeful. I'd kinda learned how to whistle sprint, essentially allowing me to sprint while not consuming stamina. This is really beneficial because it allows me to pretty much constantly move at a high speed whenever I need to. However, it does fail sometimes and it alerts the enemies around that I am near, but that didn't adversely affect me in any way. I cruised along, making little mini adjustments I had thought of on the spot, like teleporting to the top of the tower in order to fly out pretty much instantly to the location of Majora's Mask. That did make it a little weird to find a horse, but I found it all well and good. The speed I was seeing from this run was pretty incredible, but I was sacrificing something. I wasn't getting materials for cooking, and I wasn't getting arrows. Arrows are one of the most crucial things because they allow me to stun the final 4 blights, and you know, arrows are arrows. I don't have to get close to deal with an enemy. I really gambled on this, but it did pay off. To compensate for not getting as many things before reaching the castle, I had spent a little more time wandering around the castle to get foodstuff and other useful things. By this point, I had pretty much knew exactly where to go and what items to pick up in order to have a good setup for the final boss. Although one thing made me feel very nervous. I died about 3 or 4 times to this annoying guy with the Edge of Duality, which I like getting because it's a safe backup weapon and it has plenty of durability. Dying so many times to just one enemy got me really frustrated, but I pushed on and kept going. I eventually made it to the final battle, whereas everything seemed to be going alright. No broken shields, no hard situations, everything was going perfectly. Until the dreaded Thunderblight Ganon. This boy is so annoying to fight. I died to him every time, on every run, I think. There's this stupid cheap attack he does, which is essentially a flurry rush and attacks you multiple times before you can even open up your inventory to heal really quickly. It is the most dumb attack I've ever seen, and I've died multiple times to it. And I got incredibly frustrated with it because you have to go back to the beginning of the boss rush. For context, that dude is the last blight you fight before facing Ganon, so it is incredibly infuriating to fight him there. But I persisted and kept fighting along. This was the last run. I couldn't afford to lose time. I fought hard through those blights and absolutely annihilated Thunderblight Ganon and made it to the final stage. Slowly whittling Ganon's health away, I made it to the second phase, the worst phase. This is where I could ruin it all. By missing parries and breaking all my shields, or Ganon could just decide to be very mean and run all my time all the way out. But luckily, I made it through. Adrenaline high, I was in the Dark Beast Ganon section. I knew this battle, and I knew exactly how to do it, and where to go, when. But I still had a little difficulty with the horse. But I nailed most of the shots and finally aimed my last arrow. This run was achieved in 1 hour and 53 minutes. This was an incredibly fun project for me because it got me writing a whole 6 pages of script and editing a ton of footage. The emulator shows how many hours I've spent playing Breath of the Wild, and from this project alone I've spent a whole 16 hours just playing the game. That doesn't account for the time I spent talking, scripting, editing, and rendering. Sometimes it was a little hard for me to get to the motivation to do work on the project, but in the end, I think I really enjoy the raw outcome from this. I'd really gotten this idea from video essays about video games, however mine would be different as I am learning a speedrun, but not like using real speedrun strategies. I feel like I was essentially sort of telling a story of self-learning and a little delve into my life. I am also glad this video didn't turn out to be like an hour long, or else I don't think it would be very interesting. I purposely didn't explain everything in order to make the video more enjoyable and short. Anyways, this project has come to a close, and I greatly enjoy all of the process. Thank you for watching.